council. I think this will really help us very much. I appreciate your input on that. Moving to item 9D, discuss and consider street improvement priority list for fiscal year 21-22 for the city of Pearsall. This is an action item. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Hernandez. There's a second by Councilman Gonda. Calling for questions, I will have the utility director, Hector, come up and walk us through this.
All right, good evening. Item D focuses on street improvements. That said, in your packet, we staff picked the 10 worst streets submitted by the last time we discussed this. So, let me see what else. Now, there were some streets that we excluded due to flooding and drainage issues, which we did not include in our study.
It's on page 34 of your packet, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The street repair priority list is on page 34, and there's also pictures
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
that end on page 38.
Now, these are the 10 worst streets that we did a little study, the staff did, the street department, and what we did, we did an on-site review of each street submitted by you council. And we picked the 10, there was actually like 14, but a lot of the 4 that didn't get chosen had a lot of flooding and drainage issues, so we stayed away from all that because of the high demand for engineering support. We just can't afford that right now. But anywho, in your packet, you got the 10 streets, and I'll open it up for any questioning or comments or rebuttal, anything you got.
Council, what we took into account was, again, Hector did a pretty good job on the priority grant justification and the repair. This we took up in late October, and we wanted to make sure on that end that we wanted to give ourselves a chance to do the street. And I think we did something last month before. We did, and I think what we're thinking about is that this item, if the council approves this list, what we want to do is approach the commissioners and the judge to see if they can help us. These will all be, the improvements will be seal coat roads. That's all the county does. There is no asphalt, kind of what we attempted to do on Medina Street. So this will all be a seal coat. And so what we want to do, if we get your approval, is to entertain the interlocal agreement with the county. Hopefully get on their agenda to be able to propose these streets. And I'm not going to tell you that all the money, the dollars that we have we're going to do as many streets as we can with the money we have. And so that's what we're hoping to do. The interlocal will be structured similar to what you saw in Gideon, where we'll take care of the prep work,
Material and prep.
and we pay for the material, and they help us with the labor part of the actual seal coat itself.
Councilman Leon.
Have we checked or have we verified that the infrastructure and these roads that we have on this list are up to date, where we don't have to come back probably like a month or two later and
That was taken into consideration, and a lot of these streets were evaluated as such, and I think, I want to say South Elm, no, let me see, hold on, let me think. I think South Moreno was the only one that had infrastructure problems, but it's just a 2-inch, so we kept it up towards the very top of the priority list. It's just a 2-inch infrastructure, which is a water line, which is the closest to the surface of the road. But since being that it's a 2-inch, we didn't consider it. I mean, we left it up towards the top, but it's the only one bearing any kind of infrastructure problems so far, issues that we've had about 4 or 5 calls out there in the last 3 months.
I think as time goes on, whether it's these streets or other streets, what you're going to always run into is how much infrastructure you can replace and how much money you have. I mean, as the council knows, with the 2016 bond, trying to replace infrastructure roads, the dollars don't go very far when you're replacing infrastructure underneath those roads. I mean, it'd be great if we could do every or a lot of the roads, but that's kind of what, in my mind, what I was thinking. It's not, the improvement that we're making to the street is not a high $5 improvement. It's a better improvement. We're not spending, a significant amount of money on material to make improvements to these roads.
Yes, Councilman Hernandez?
Can you explain what a seal coat job would be for those streets?
A seal coat, it's basically, it's not an inlay or an overlay. It's glue, it's
Tar, right?
tar and gravel over it. And I mean, they're gonna surface, we're gonna prep the area, but it's not gonna be any kind of digging. We're not gonna go 6-9 inches deep
So are you gonna tack on top of the existing surface?
Yes, I mean, we're gonna mill, but it's gonna mill the top 2 inches
Okay,
and then
then-
seal coat right behind it, you know.
All right.
That's
And roll it.
Have
And
you
they're
ever
rolling
seen
all
this?
that good stuff.
It's kind of like when the county does it on their county roads, where they
Right.
just bring in their, was it zipper ripper?
A miller, yeah,
And
they
they
have a
just
miller.
take the top surface off,
Yeah.
they come back, they seal it with that tar, and then they throw the rock behind it, and then,
Right,
Pack it
in county roads, yes, but in this case, we'll be using our zipper.
yeah.
Our
Our
zipper,
equipment.
because it's a county road, I mean, it's a city street.
Right.
Give you an example, is Encino was seal coat. Encino was seal coat road. Gilliam was a seal coat.
South Roosevelt is.
Yeah, those are all seal coat roads. And so,
I think that the state also does it sometimes, they've done it here on the main road, where they just kind of just
Yeah.
scrape it off the top,
Yeah,
throw the
but-
seal coat
right.
on top, and then throw the rock in this road.
They'll do a 2-course or a 3-course.
So we're not gonna do what we did in 2017 or whatever, where the surface just stayed there, and they just put some stuff on top, and then laid the asphalt, and so there's a lot of crack and slippages happening, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was a contractor that did that, so
Right.
the difference is county's doing it, and county's a lot more versed in that area than probably the contractors.
Council, I would ask you guys, if you haven't done it lately, ride down Gilliam Road and, get a feel for that. That was done in 2016 or 17. And so it's still in pretty good shape, and I know the PD's working out there to keep the big trucks off it, that's part of the problem.
And we
But
did it
again-
for a 20th of the price of LNB quoted us,
Say that again?
we did it for like a 20th.
Well, I can tell you the numbers that stand in my mind, it costs us about 35,000 to do
In
1.5.
materials and well, our part cost us about that much, and then they came in with a discounted labor,
Yeah.
something like that.
in the interlocal agreement, in the interlocal agreement for that road, it's in there. And I think their costs were not to exceed $10,000. And then we had our cost, of course, that's not including labor. And again, we did the labor, and they did the labor. But that's kind of what we're taking into account. Our hope is, as we approach the county, is that they work with us and they help provide some of the labor. And then the timeline's gonna be important for this, because if we, the
It's
challenge.
election time.
Yeah, the challenge we're gonna get is if they work on their roads and let's say we start prepping the road and we're ready to go and there's no material and or labor, then the road's gonna sit bare for however long. And we don't want that to happen. That's why I wanna make sure that the council, if this works with the county, we'll make sure the council's aware that there are gonna be some things that we're gonna have to address with.
So this item is, to list these streets, and again, certainly we don't anticipate we're gonna be able to do all of these. We'll start from the top and work our way down. I can tell you in conversations with the judge and with, a county commissioner, they were certainly amenable. So again, it's subject to them, but yes, okay, Councilman, got a
Right.
question?
Depending on the county agreement, and I'm more than sure you already thought about it, but, you pretty much already thought about not doing Margot Drive until after the school year is over, right?
Well, Marble Drive is at
I mean,
the
I would think it
very
would
end
be a
of
lot of
this.
that traffic.
Yeah, at the very, we can manipulate, if we get that far down, we can manipulate the timeline, however y'all see fit.
I have a question.
Yes.
How long do you think it's gonna take to actually, for one road, how long does that take?
Well,
What's the
it
estimate?
depends, that's an interesting question, because our number one priority would be South Elm, which is right by the dollar store,
Right.
it's horrible. And there's other horrible places, but this is the most horrible of them all, and it's only one block, so it won't, the prep would be a few days, and then county will come in and seal coat it in one day. So and then we move on down to number 7, that's 8 blocks long, so that's gonna take a while. And then just so y'all know, Marble Drive is the biggest,
Okay.
biggest block street we have, so, on this list. It's 8.5 blocks is what it is.
And just for FYI conversation, the judge said that they felt they had the labor to where when we call for them, that they can do it again, depending upon them, depending upon their schedule and all the other things going on, but we would certainly address that with them. They said, okay, we're fixing to strip this road, get it ready, and have them on cue to come on.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if no one has any further questions, I'd like to go and approve this list.
Okay?
And I would say, I would highly recommend that we get with the county ASAP because it is election time.
Yeah, okay, very good. There is there's a motion to approve by Councilman Leal. There is a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. We've had a good round of questions. At this point, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, this item E dovetails into this, is that correct? It is the interlocal agreement, so we pretty much hashed this out. I have a motion, there's a motion by Councilman Leal, there's a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. Any discussion? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote.
Other than changing the language, correct?
Excuse me just a second. There is a question. Councilman
It's gonna be
Hernandez.
updated to include these streets and stuff.
What we're gonna do is we'll tax the exhibit of the streets that we're asking for, and then we'll change the dates and some of the language, but for the most part, the work and what we're asking you to do is the same. Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions?
No,
Not hearing any, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. Now we're moving on to item 9F, discussion regarding draft ordinance amending ordinance number 2017-0202, an ordinance related to towing and wrecker service regulations. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to discuss.
Okay, what we're doing, Councilman Leal, you may not have been here, but earlier in Robert's Rule of Order, we get a motion to approve and a second, and we have a discussion. And if there are people that don't concur, don't vote on it, including the one that made the motion. So, and the point being is, we don't want to talk about something for 30 minutes and not really have it ready to approve. So I will ask for a motion to approve. There is a motion to approve by Councilman Hernandez. May I have a second? There's a second by Councilwoman Talamontes. Now, at this point, discussion, please. Questions? We've got, Chief, are you up? It can be, okay.
I go on and try to tackle it.
Yeah, all right. Yes, this has been an interesting item the last 60 days. Chief?
I guess the best thing to do to start off is why are we here? And if you look at the ordinance 2017-0202, it gives guidelines to the chief of police of the city of Pearsall to open up applications for a towing rotation every year. Now, in my research, I noticed, I'm not blaming anybody or anything, but this was not being done. When I went to go look for the rotation list, I could not find it. It states in the ordinance in December, I opened up for applications, which I did, and I got some feedback from the towing companies. Now, there was positive and negative, of course. There was some history involved with this ordinance, and we had several meetings individually with the tow truck drivers and owners, and we had a group meeting with the tow truck drivers and owners, also with the mayor and a council member, and also a commissioner. They're having a dilemma as well, not similar to ours, but a dilemma. So this guidelines the chief of police to open up for applications, and which I did, and we have very much interest. As a matter of fact, they applaud us for allowing us to open it. I explained to them every year we're supposed to do it, it just wasn't being done. So they're willing to, and eager to come into the city and provide services. These are for non-consent tows. What is a non-consent tow? A non-consent tow is when a police officer stops somebody and they're found with drugs per se, and we need to tow their vehicle for an investigation, or there's a death, we need to investigate it, we need to tow it. This does not include motor vehicle accidents. That's a non-consent tow. Only if the owner is unable to get a tow truck or can afford it, then obviously it's a non-consent. We have to tow it, get it out of the roadway, in other words. Those are non-consent tows. Also, this provides the services for the city. Now, my research in it, it was established by City Council back in 2017, and I think its main purpose was price gouging. You all did it so you can, regulate it, and by TDLR, the wording is Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. But it allows City Council, it allows city entities to come up with an ordinance, which you all did. And I applaud it, it's a good ordinance. The only thing, the reason we're here is, the prices back in 2017 have changed. And if you look at the TDLR regulations, now what we're trying to, what the city manager is trying to show y'all is, let's try to get, what's the proper word, equivalent to what the usual price is now. And in speaking to the tow truck drivers and owners, they're in agreement, hey, 2017 isn't today. So we would like for you all to try to bring it to par, per se. And those are some of the fees. Right now, if you look at the ordinance, we pay $175. That back then in 2017, yes, it was $175. Now it's changed to $255. So this wasn't kept up, and we're asking City Council to look over some of the changes that we're asking for. And if there's any questions, I can go over the red markings and discuss it.
Council, Councilman Leal.
And all these vehicles will still be continued to be towed to our yard, correct?
Yes, sir.
No tow company will be towing it to their yard, correct?
Only non-consent tows will be going to our yard. Non-consent tows, things that.
Correct. If it's consent, if they're the ones saying, I need my stuff towed, then of course,
Yes, sir.
they choose.
Let's say you got into an accident and you didn't commit any crime.
Correct.
You wanna call your own tow truck driver?
Yes.
Go, by all means, go ahead.
Now, what is the problem with the current rotation they have at the sheriff's, or do they no longer have it?
Okay, now remember, we're the PD, they're the SO.
Correct.
They don't have anything, they don't have any regulations. In speaking with the chief deputy, the county does not have any regulations. They're looking at us tonight very closely to possibly adopt the same thing.
I was, in the past, as far as I know, anytime there was a vehicle that needed to be towed, whether it be Pearsall PD, Frio County, EPS, they would call the sheriff's office and they had a rotation list, and they would just call that next tow company to go pick up.
You're right in a sense. The county has their rotation list, and as per this ordinance, we have our rotation list. In other words, the people you approve that submitted an application will be on the rotation list.
So who's gonna keep track of that rotation, making sure it's being followed in the middle of the night at 2 in the morning? That way there's not one tow company that's being consistently called.
The ordinance instructs the chief of police to send that rotation list to the sheriff's department. I've spoken to the sheriff's department, they're in agreement, they came to the meeting, a representative of the sheriff's department, and agreed they wouldn't have any problem in us having the rotation list. And if we're doing it now, as a matter of fact.
Now, who's gonna be responsible if for some reason they continue to call one person, because it's happened in the past?
That's the
Where they're
reason,
calling one tow company
yes, sir.
consistently. Now, another thing too is, personally, I don't know about the rest of the council or how they feel, but I would personally would like to see only local tow companies towing for the city of Pearsall, since it's revenue that's being kept in our community. Whether we can do it or not, I don't know, but I don't think there's nothing in TDLR that says otherwise, right, Bobby?
But we're in county.
I can tell you this.
We're not county, we're
No,
city.
no, I know, but.
I can tell you this, I'm sorry. I can tell you that the applicants and the tow truck companies are all from Frio County, city of Pearsall. I don't know if they live inside the city.
Oh, no, I'm saying the business.
Oh, yes, they're all from
Okay.
Frio County.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't received anything from anybody else.
And also, I would just wanna make sure that the city is getting the revenue as far as storage fees, auctions and stuff like that, because in the past, there was history, and we all know what auctions are bringing now.
Yes,
We
sir.
all know what the county's making in their auctions,
Yes, sir.
so that's something that we could definitely utilize as far as the revenue, because it is a revenue.
Yes, that, I understand and I'm in agreement 100%. That's apart from this, and I'm on top of that. You all just approved a surplus sale. That's part of that's another part of it, but, I'm on top of that, yes, sir, we're making sure that's being done.
And I think I can answer one of the questions, Councilman Leal, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chief, you see every invoice, so any invoice the city pays, if there's a tow company, correct me if I'm wrong, that is just consistently on there, Chief would see it. 'Cause
Yes, one of the agreements in having these meetings is being fair, and that's what I wanna do, and I think that's the reason the city council put this ordinance, to be fair with everybody, not just to allow just one tow company to take over forever. And I think